Okay guys, in today's video we're going to be working on a Codan control station, and we're going to be adding an auxiliary receiver to it. Right now the existing control station is connected to a UIC5 card that's then connected to a Telex CSoft console that's running a DFSI icon, and we're going to be adding this receiver to the UIC card, and then we'll be adding an extra icon onto the CSoft console when we're done getting that configured. And we'll also use the UIC test application to confirm that the receiver is working properly. We're going to do this in several different steps, so I'm just going to take them one at a time. We're going to start off with updating the firmware in the auxiliary receiver, and then after we do that we'll go into the software, we'll program it. I'll show you where you adjust the level, the output level going to the console if you needed to adjust it. And then after we get finished doing that, we'll move over to the UIC5 card. I'll go in and show you how to configure the second ports for the new radio here, and then after we do that, I'll go over fabricating a cable to go in between the auxiliary receiver and the receive B port over here on the UIC5 card. Then we'll do the test using the IC testing tool, and then after that, the last thing is I'll go into the CSoft console configuration menu and show you how to add the new button there in the designer program, and that'll finish it off. So we're just going to get right into it, and we'll start with step one of upgrading the firmware in the receiver. So stand by for that. Okay, let's start with the firmware software. I'm going to fire it up here, and I'm going to go ahead and plug in my USB cable. And as soon as I plug it in, you see it goes and it reads it and pulls up what it is. We can see it's a MT-4E analog only receiver. Now this is where we're going to go ahead and open our firmware update file. I've already preloaded this destination and everything, and it pulls up a little flashing note to let you know, give you a little story about it. I'll let you look at that on your own. I'll give you a link to where to download all the software in the description as well. But anyway, if we come over here to the firmware version information, you see we currently have 2.95, and the newest version is 2.12.2. So we'll be doing an upgrade, quite a big upgrade from that long version. So let's just go ahead and get it going. It gives us a little thing telling us to make sure you don't unplug it while you're doing it, or you'll break it. So we're going to go ahead and let it do its little deal. If you while it's doing it, you can, I'll show you on the it's flashing the little lights back and forth on your A to D. But anyway, it'll sit there and do its little first it does the firmware of the receiver, and then it'll do the synthesizer firmware as well. And even though it's the same, it says the same version, it still rewrites it. So we'll sit here and let this finish off, and I'll reset it. And then, like I said, it'll do the synthesizer next, and that goes pretty quick. And this is just making sure that everything's good with it and that it's the right configuration for the UIC5 card. And just about done. It's going to reset the device. Alright. And then there it goes. The update has been completed. Alright. We'll read it again. You'll see it's now got the newest version 2.12.2.0 in it. So we're all done with that. And we're going to go ahead and exit and move on to the next part, which is the software version. So stand by for that. Okay, next up is going to be the MT-4E software. So let me pull this up, and you see it. I'm still plugged in. It sees it's an analog only receiver. I want to go ahead and hit the configure screen over here. It reads it, takes a look at it. If I go in here and look at the channel matrix, I can see all my channels in here, and it's just a single receiver. And we currently have carrier squelch, so that looks good there. And yeah, so if this radio has a volume conflict with the P25 that comes out the console, so let's say the audio is either lower or higher than the P25, because the way the P25 audio works, it goes straight through the receiver and gets decoded all the way up as a P25 packet at the console. So there's no volume adjusting at all that you could do on the Codan receiver in P25 mode at all. So that's completely done it. And because that's the case, your master system volume level will be no adjustments up there at the console, so that's going to establish your baseline volume level, in other words. So on the analog here, though, you do have the chance to adjust it, and let me show you where you would do that. You would come in here to the service and go into your LVDS levels, and sliding this up and down will give you essentially a different volume level that comes out of the console. So this is where you adjust the volume level to match the P25 volume level coming out of the console. So once you've got done there, and all the channels are programmed correctly, that's good to go, and you don't have to worry about that. So alright, let's move on to the next step, which is the UIC5 card setup. So stand by. Okay, here we are, the UIC card configuration. So let's I went in the previous video how to set this card up and get into it and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and log into it. P25 admin, P25 admin. Alright, and oh, we get a big I'll agree to that, why not? Okay, so here we go. Let me shrink this down some so it's more visible. There we go. So let's go ahead and have a look here at the A-side settings, and see we have the we're going to do the 50,000 and 50,020, and we don't all these advanced features. You need to come down here and make sure we turn off the repeats to no repeat. We don't want any repeats, and we're going to update that. Alright, and now but the big thing I wanted to show you was up here on your control and voice ports. So these are going to be set to whatever your individual settings are for your system. This is these are just the two default ones that we're going to use for this video and to do the little demonstration here. But anyway, whatever these are, you'll duplicate these in your CSoft DFSI settings, and we'll get into that later. But so this would be the A side, this would be the one we're using already, and here's your B side. And you see what they do is they just up the number by 2, so we go 50,002, then 50,022, and same settings. So and once again, we want to turn the repeat off on these, no local repeat, and that's just the default setting that they come in. And let me update that. Okay, that's all successfully updated. And yeah, and once again, just to go over, if when you did get the actual stuff for your work, this is where you would go in and put in your static IP address that would have been assigned for this unit. Once again, you cannot do, there's no way that you can do DHCP in one of these, because the distant device, the console in this case, has to be programmed with a known IP address for it to contact. So this IP address here has to be static. It cannot be DHCP. So, but anyway, once you get that all set up and got the you know, the control port numbers and everything verified, now you can move on to doing the actual testing. So we'll stop for now and go into the cable setup. So stand by for that. Okay, so the next item for conversation is the cable, the control bus cable that goes between the two RJ45s here. They call this the LVDS connections, and when you do the pin out of the the factory ones here, they're just straight through cables, but they don't use pins 1 and 8, so it's just 2 through 7. And me being the paranoid guy I am, I wouldn't dare hook up just a normal patch cable, because I got a feeling that they got it rigged not to work or something. I don't know. I don't dare take the chance though, and I don't have an actual Codan cable long enough to reach over there. So I just made my own, and I confirmed the pinouts myself. And two ways you can do this. You can either just fabricate your own end-to-end, or take a known patch cable and cut the two for pins 1 and 8. And that's what I did on this one, because I know a lot of people they can't readily kind of fabricate their own RJ45 cables. But anyway, it's real easy. All you got to do is look at the color of the wires at the two ends, you know, on the sides, and cut those two. But once again, it's just straight through 2 to 7, and then it's just a matter of plugging it into the receiver, and then the UIC5 card. So that's your cable connection to get between the two, and then now we'll move on to actually testing it with the UIC configuration software to make sure it's all working. So stand by for that. Okay, next step is do some testing using the UIC configuration software tester. So just as a reminder again, the configuration part doesn't work on the UIC5 card, just the 4s, but the test function does. So we're going to go ahead and enable the test to come up here, and what we want to do is we want to put in those port numbers that we saw on the first one. Now if we put in 0 and 20, and we do the connection. Now we're connected to that radio A and the A and B transmitter, but we don't want that one. We want the new B one. So we'll come over here and we'll change this to 2 and to 22, and now we'll reconnect. And now we're connected to the B side, and like it was just a completely separate device. And we don't have a transmitter here, so this has no function. But over here on the receiver, this is our volume level here, and we can test it by taking our portable and keying up, and we should be able to see we'll see the A light light up here, and hear ourselves coming on the receiver. So and I'll show you on the let me just show you on the camera first. When I key up, you see the analog light up over here on the receiver, and and now we're over here, and I can testing 1 2 3 4, and do a little test, and it works good. And so now we have the audio coming over to the UIC card and going over to the console just fine. If this volume level, like I said, wasn't right, we adjust it back at the receiver LVDS pot there. But anyway, this is all good to go, ready for the console, and that'll be our final stop next. So stand by for that. Okay, here we are. Now we're in CSoft Designer mode, and I have the typical DFSI icon group here that would be set up. That's got your select box, your volume control, your mute, your channel change, and your push to talk, with the P25 dispatch screen down here at the bottom. So this is your original setup. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just copy these 3 items here, copy and paste next to it, because these are going to be configured the way you want them, but you're just going to change it from the first DFSI to the second one. So we'll start off over here. We'll select this the initial one here, and we'll go Control C to copy it. And since we're going to want to put it back onto the same screen where it exists, we need to go back and reselect the original pop-up master that brought this up before we do a Control V to paste it back into here, or otherwise it will go into the blue ocean here, and you don't want it there. So now we'll do a Control V, and we now have the new icon here, and we can pull it up, and we can now come over here and do the same thing with the volume control. We can go Control C, we'll reselect back, Control V, put it back, oops, and then finally we get our mute. Same thing, Control C, reselect, Control V, and put those back. And now we have the 3 that all we have to do now is go and change their affiliation. So we'll start with the D7 here, and we'll go Properties, and this is where we're going to change it to, instead of associating with D7 DFSI, we're going to want flight following DFSI, so FF DFSI. So we'll go OK on that, and now we can come down here and do the same for volume, and we want FS DFSI, and same with the mute, Properties, and we want flight following DFSI. Okay, and then I forgot to put up here, this is where you would change the name to say flight following instead of D7. So we'll just come over here and just make it short and sweet. Okay, and oh, also you'll see that when we do the thing here, that because it's all just the one channel. We don't have to worry about doing a channel select because there's only going to be one channel for flight following, so we don't have to worry about that. So okay, so now that this gives us our buttons ready to go, and I should have said, before we did the buttons, we got to make sure that we get our per line parameters set up, because if this one isn't set up first, you won't be able to select it in the drop down menu that I first did. So but anyway, this is the original DFSI screen that we had, and when you go and look at it, here's the original control ports and the IP address, and this has got all the main big channels in there. We don't have to worry about that. But this is the new one that we're doing just for the auxiliary receiver. So when we come and do this one, this is where we're going to put in the 2 up on the control port numbers, and on the channel setup, all we're going to have is just the one channel, and it's going to just be an analog, and we'll call it DFSI flight following there. So that's about it. Oh, and once again, these are standalone consoles. I don't have any kind of fancy multi-console stuff. But that's your setup in the per line parameters, and once you got that done, then you would be able to get in here, like I said, and once you did that, then this would show up as an option now once you did that. So but that's it, and now you're ready to receive your flight following from your auxiliary receiver on a DFSI icon instead of the original one that it was coming in on. So, all right, and that concludes the whole thing. I hope this helps you guys out, and we'll talk to you soon.